election in each district. There's some interest, and I'm sure it's growing, and also that a group of us continue to be aware of whatever gold mining activity might be progressing. So I think that really sums it up. Thank you for hearing me.
That's it.
That it?
Yes, sir.
Any emails or anything?
No, sir.
Okay, we'll conclude the public comment. New business.
Tonight is the introduction of case 21 ZMA 283. Our landowner is Wayne Beasley and the applicant is Shelley Mays Couch. This property is located at tax map 196, parcel 30A. It contains approximately 1.65 acres, and the address is 3875 South James Madison Highway, Farmville 23901, Curdsville Magisterial District. It's currently zoned A1. The zoning map amendment, Mrs. Mays Couch is asking the Planning Commission to recommend a public hearing date to hear the request for rezoning from A1 to B1 for the purpose of operating non-retail office space and other permitted uses. The comprehensive plan does list Route 15 as a main corridor, and this property is approximately 3 miles north of the South Growth Corridor. This area is expected to see future growth due to its proximity to Farmville, and the corridor is currently comprised of commercial uses plus various types and sizes of dwelling units. Development in this corridor should be well planned, and future land use is compatible with the varied land uses in the area. The property is currently zoned A1 and is owned by Wayne Beasley. The applicant is Shelley Mays Couch, and she has indicated in her application that the purpose of this rezoning request to be in compliance after providing human services in the same location for 3 years and to increase permitted uses. Ms. Mays Couch did receive confirmation of grandfathered status by the zoning administrator, but due to the ability to increase permitted uses, she wishes to apply for this request. Ms. Mays Couch is present with us this evening.
Good. Ms. Mays Couch, do you want to come to the podium, please? Thank you. Let me start off by saying I appreciate what you're doing or trying to do for the county and its people and its residents. I know that we've got a lot of people here that are going to need your help. So with that, let's try to get started here. We would like, as a planning commission, zoning, to know what it is you would like to do in the future that is not currently covered under your current zoning.
Currently, what I was advised is that the nonprofit organization has been grandfathered in as a covered use due to the fact that it is currently connected to a religious entity, which is the Full Gospel of Christ Fellowship. However, due to the fact that that might not be the case for future references, and that the possibility of continuing to be able to provide the funding under the Locke Family Services in this location, there's a possibility that we would have other organizations that's not connected to religious entities, which initially, before we received funding with Locke Family Services, which is the nonprofit entity, Love Over Crisis was actually fulfilling the roles of ensuring that everything was paid, which Love Over Crisis is a for-profit organization that is not connected to a religious entity. So we want to ensure that we are covered actually in compliance with Buckingham County zoning in any situation that may be to run our business and actually provide the services which we've provided for 3 years in that location, going on 7 years in basically a lot of the Piedmont district. So we truly have dedicated a lot of time, effort, sometimes a lot of tears too, because of the situations that we have encountered and been able to witness and help through. But we want to make sure that we're in compliance no matter what, and that will be to change the A1 to B1.
Do any of the commissioners have any questions, specific questions?
Yes, ma'am. Do you need this change of status for also any kind of grant writing or this kind of thing to make you in compliance with those things?
No, we do not.
So looking under B1, what under B1 are you looking to put us, we gotta find, run a kind of category of what you're doing.
So under B1, that would ensure that any business that we operate to provide human services, currently, even the services that we're providing now under B1 with Love Over Crisis is covered because we are not connected to a religious entity with that particular organization. And we provide service facilitation, direct services for individuals who are elderly and disabled. So we want to ensure that we're never having to come back to this place and say, well, we knew that we were grandfathered in under Lock Family Services, but we also knew that we were not grandfathered in under other businesses that I manage.
And this would include any new business that you would want to open?
Yes, ma'am. So I currently manage and actually help with managing other businesses as well. So if for a chance we might need to continue on funding sources and a business that I manage wants to come in and rent a space from us, then being able to do that under B1, if they're not connected to a religious source, because not saying that they wouldn't be, because we welcome them in, we do want to be a support for those who are, operating through faith. However, but if they're not, and we want to be able to rent an office space to them, we want to be able to do that if they're providing human services along with our services. Yes.
Any more questions?
To me, I still don't understand what I gotta look under to match it to is what I'm saying.
It would be B1. So A1, from what Ms. Nikki had actually explained to me, A1 currently we had to be grandfathered in, but the only way that we could be grandfathered in is because, basically being connected to a religious entity. So because we initially became a nonprofit organization under the Full Gospel of Christ Fellowship, that is what allowed us to be grandfathered in under A1. And to continue to be in compliance.
That's all. And it does have emergency services facilities. Now, I look at that as a rescue squad and the fire department, but maybe I'm looking at it wrong. But I just want to get you a name of what's under B1 to put you in to say, this is what she's doing, and this is what we're taking care of. But if you get up under B1 and you're doing something that's not in B1, then you're under the wrong zoning.
Ms.
I just want to make
Moose-Couch.
sure you're under the right zoning.
Shelley, I think just go back, Mr. Allen, so what it appears that Shelley has explained to us this evening are the businesses that she's organized, that she's associated with. It sounds like office space that you would be utilizing. I think maybe Mr. Allen is asking a little bit more as far as what some of the services may do. I know you and I had discussed in conversation, which is not part of this application, about your expansion or some of the vision that you have for your company.
I will also explain to you that was something after talking with you and actually after talking to Rebecca Carter as well, the county administrator, that we were looking in other areas to do text amendments in those areas because those areas actually seem to actually want us to do those particular things there.
So along those lines.
That is not actually in
That is not part of
application.
the application. That is only a question that we're talking about tonight as far as other things that you would provide. So it sounds like your explanation tonight is specifically in regard to other office space for other associations or organizations that you have. I think just reiterate that and maybe give Mr. Allen and the rest of the planning commission members any other example that you have of what you see this particular location doing.
So what's
Right.
provided there, those office spaces and what we have been able to provide within that location for the last 3 years have been counseling, have been care coordination services, groups. We also have help with, when you say emergency services, to me, emergency services is when someone is clearly coming in and out of institutions and need help to stabilize. So we're actually talking them through and de-escalating situations so that, you know, that individual is not back and forth into institutions and actually being homeless and actually getting services from steps. All of those things are things that we help to coordinate as well. So if it was not for some of our services that we provide, we have seen individuals, you know, they've been facing death. So I would look at that as an emergency services, as emergency services as well. But we understand that, you know, some areas there are need for text amendments because emergency services in 2021 have changed so drastically. We have people on drugs and alcohol and, you know, they're dying right here in this county because they do not have services.
What I was saying is in A1, we have, you know, where you take care of elderly people and all too. So that's what I'm saying. I don't want to put you in the wrong zoning where you won't be able to do what you want to do.
And would this be a case for that non-retail office?
Well, it's got, in B1, it's got the professional offices in it. Now,
And we're definitely professionals. We can't do what we do without certifications and license, trust me.
okay,
Right, in the
but
B1,
that's-
it would be office space, period. In the A1, I know we did an SUP a few months ago for non-retail office space, but in a business B1 zone, it's office space, period. Whether it's retail, non-retail.
Okay.
So that's in B1? It's office space by itself?
Yes, sir.
Don't see it.
You want me to go? I don't have my laptop with me.
Oh, I'm looking at it now.
Office space?
It says professional, yeah.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying. You know, that's what I want to put you in the right, whatever you're going to. Yeah, you're going to go back. Page. Yeah, it's got office space professional. Office professional, yeah. But, I mean, I just see you doing more than that. I mean, I see you looking out for people, like you said, coming to prisons and all. I don't know if we got an exact place to put it under. I know it's another place in there for looking out for elderly adults, like a daycare for.
We don't provide adult daycare. We provide coordination services for these individuals to get the help that they need.
So will anybody be staying overnight?
No,
Okay. So no lodging at all?
no, sir.
Okay. All right, so we'll just go with professional office and that'd be the end.
I'm sorry.
Professional office is what you want to go with?
That yes, we are professionals and we do provide office locations for that.
What y'all think?
I have a
I agree
question.
with that.
I have a question, just to clarify for me. All you want to do is, you are now grandfathered under a church. And what you want to do is move to a situation where you're standing on your own as a professional.
One business that I manage currently is grandfathered under the church.
Yeah.
However, not all the businesses that I manage is grandfathered under the church.
Right.
So if we do rent out a space, if we have to have more income coming in the future, yes, that's what we would need. We would need to make sure that we're not having to be connected to a church in order to do that.
Right, and as I was saying, you just want to move from where you are standing on your own for everything that you do and not necessarily to be grandfathered under somebody.
Currently, one of my
Yes.
businesses is not grandfathered under a church. So that would mean that we're not in compliance at this point.
Right.
For one of them, yes.
That's what I'm saying, so you would be standing on your own in all that you do and, under the right heading, under B1, professional officers.
Actually, in our conversation, I grandfathered both of your businesses, and that's in the form of an email. Because
The
one,
only Lock Family Services is in
no,
that
we
email.
had the conversation in the office about both of them.
But
and
that's
one-
not in the email.
Well, that was the intention.
Okay.
So so let's go back to that piece. When I went back and looked at the IRS forms for the, tell me the name of the larger church organization?
Lock Family Services,
No, the
Over-
one.
Over crisis.
the
No.
Full Gospel of Christ
Yes.
Fellowship.
Yes, that one. So when we had our discussions prior in the determination of the grandfathered status, to me, one was formed with the other.
And I
After
had
talk,
informed you that it wasn't.
but we had that conversation that day in my office, and when we went through, I told you that both of those were grandfathered.
We had a conversation, and when you had informed me that, and you actually asked me the question, was this one connected to that one? And I had said no.
And I asked you, well, when they came, because the discussion that we'd had in the example or the definition that you had given me was that one was there, and they were both kind of formed because of the need that one had brought to my grandfathering was for both of those.
Well, I appreciate that, but that is not how it was developed, and I want to make sure that it's correct.
Well, I understand that, and
I
I would,
appreciate that.
so, but that was my intention, and that is what that email, that's what I'd go back and say. So, but I do understand what you're doing with this application and the growth that you may have available to you with the rezoning for those.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I see this as a fine opportunity to increase our footprint for coming out for business. And I would like to move this on to the next step. And I also know that some of these things, even though you may not have it now that you have a grant, if you are under the proper zoning, then that makes it easier to apply for grants that may be out there for what you need to do. And I commend you on what you do.
Thank you.
And I think it is a very valuable service. And so with that being said, I would like to make a motion that we move that on to the next step.
I
Public
have a
hearing.
motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion's been duly seconded. All in favor of moving it forward, raise your right hand. Dabney? Dabney? Steve?
Yeah.
Are you approving this case? We've all voted in favor of it. Are you approving or denying?
Mr. Cruz, are you available? Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Take it, that's a yes?
I think he's just responding to me. Ask
Oh.
him for his vote.
I'm looking for your vote. Yes or no? Well, it really ain't gonna make any difference.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Five approvals.
Let's move to a public hearing then.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We will see you next month.
Yes, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next case.
The next case is the introduction of case 21ZM284. The landowner and applicant is the same. It's Kyanite Mining Corporation. Tax map is 172 parcel 78. It contains approximately 32 acres located off of Plank Road, State Route 600. Colonial Pipeline crosses this property. There is no 911 address, and it's in the Curdsville Magisterial District. A1 is the current zoning district. The request tonight before you is a zoning map amendment. Kyanite Mining Corporation is asking the Planning Commission to recommend a public hearing date to hear the request for rezoning from A1 to B1 for the purpose of zoning consistency and continuation of mining. The comprehensive plan does list Route 15 as a main corridor, and this property is approximately 9 miles north of the South Growth Corridor. Development in this corridor should be well planned and future land uses compatible with the varied land uses in the area. As stated in the narrative submitted by the landowner and applicant, the applicant owns all parcels adjacent to 17278 and tracts to the north, east, and west of this parcel are all currently zoned M2. The applicant desires to continue its mine development on this parcel in the future. We do have Ms. Kristen G. and Mr. John Snoddy available to discuss this case.
How are you tonight?
Great. How are you today?
Pretty good. Any of the commissioners have questions here?
Well, I was just wondering why we're going to B1 instead of M1, M2.
To clarify, I think that's a typo maybe
Uh,
in,
that is
in
a
the
t- I'm so
narrative.
sorry.
We
That's my
applied for
fault.
M2 designation.
Right. Okay. Good.
I have it in one place and not in another.
All right.
If you look at page 3 of the application, the request is to rezone from A1 to M2.
Yeah, it was just on the front page, just on,
Copy and paste is not my friend.
good enough.
I have another question. Also, on the GIS site plan, it says Route 60. Is that supposed to be Route 60 or is that supposed to be? Some lost is where the property is.
You're exactly right. That should be Route 600. I'm sorry about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's Plank Road.
Okay, that was throwing me off.
Sorry about that. Yeah, that would have
Plank
put you in a different place altogether. Sorry.
Road. Yes, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
Ms. G, the process that we're going through is just to make all the land be the same zone, right?
Correct. And if you look at the page after the GIS map, it shows in hash marks everything that's already zoned M2. It's almost as if this piece should have been zoned M2 when we did it the last time, however long ago. This is really just to continue that area.
It was
Like
just
somebody wanted a buffer back then.
like,
Maybe.
it almost looks like to me an oversight.
I think it might, I mean, that was, well before my time. I think it might have been an oversight. And John could probably speak to this better than me, but that's along the line of the deposit, so it is the direction that they're heading in for mining.
Ms. G, are there any neighbors in this area?
The nearest you can see, we included a plat. It is the Margot Webb Thomas tract, and it's not actually adjacent. They have a parcel that's right off of 600.
Okay,
And there's, you can see from the GIS, there are some nearby, but not adjacent to the property.
have they been notified of your intention? So,
Not at this point in the process. I don't think we're required to notify them because they're not actually adjacent, but if you all want to do that for another reason, we could.
I just always know that it's good neighbor policy to let people know before it hits the paper,
Sure. Okay.
just as a common courtesy.
We could do that for that one tract. I think we probably can contact them. The one that's to the west is a large tract that's owned by many beneficiary heirs at law. I think there's, like maybe 100, and so I don't know that we'll be able to notify them.
Right. I just know as much noise as we've gotten with people taking things out of context.
Sure.
If we could nip that in the bud prior to, it might be a good thing to do.
Are you counting on doing any mining in that area shortly, or is that just a future thing?
John could speak better to that, so I'll let him.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Mr. Allen, your question was about the anticipated start time of mining on that parcel. If I had to guess, I would say perhaps as soon as the next 12 to 18 months, but that is probably a little aggressive.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Any other commissioners have any questions?
I don't. I would like to echo Ms. Cormus's recommendation just to reach out to Miss Margaret Webb Thomas's people on that plat. The other ones to the west look like they're already fully bordered by an M2 designation anyway.
Any direction how
If I
just
may
call them.
if I may interject, do you want them to contact them? Do you want this to be added to the application so that they become those that are notified, like adjacent property owners, and I mail letters just like I will if you set a public hearing?
No,
Okay.
what I was talking about was, just a courtesy phone call to say, hey, this is gonna come up in the paper, just wanna give you a heads up. Before you see it, spaz out about it.
You might do both,
Yeah,
just in
Yeah,
case you can't get in
maybe.
touch with them, then that letter would take care of what you missed. Either way,
just,
I know I can see by this, it's not adjacent, but
yeah,
it would be good.
little
Just good
courtesy phone
policy.
call goes
Yeah.
a long ways.
I don't see any reason to hold it up, waiting for
don't
that to
either.
happen to
Oh,
you.
no,
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 sir.
that's just,
No,
that's
sir.
just something to add on.
That's just
That's
good
right.
neighbor policy to
Yeah.
me.
I agree.
I'll make a motion, we take it on to the, public hearing.
I'd like to second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All in favor of sending it forward, raise your right hand. Dabney?
Yes.
Good. Steve? 6 out of 7 affirmative. See y'all next month.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Have a good evening.
Old business.
I don't have any old business at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Reports?
The building permits report is in your packet for you to take a look at, just to see what's been going on. I don't have anything further to report.
Commission matters. Any concerns from the commissioners?
Got through tonight. I think that's all.
Everything looks good.
Looking for a motion.
Motion to adjourn, please.
Second.
Motion been first and seconded. All in favor, raise your right hand. Dabney?
Yes.
Good.
Steve.
6 out of 7.